The BeatStep Pro has a drum sequencer and two monophonic sequencers, which is perfect for the Volca beats, Volca kick, and Volca bass. These are both mono synths, and this is a drum synthesizer. So I've got those hooked up, and I control that primarily from this one unit. I also use this as the master device. This is where I hit play and stop and everything. This is connected with just two wires. There's a USB cord in the back for power, and I've got a single MIDI cable which goes out and plugs directly into the MIDI in of the key step. I plug it directly into the key step because that allows me just to do this with one fewer cable. I have the key step configured in through mode, with through mode enabled, so the output of the key step actually passes through, which is nice. So everything hits the RK04, which is on the bottom, and then gets routed out to all the synths. The keys and FM are both polyphonic synths, so those are really fun to play with the Arturia key step, and so I use that primarily to control these. I will use the sequencers on the Volca sometimes, but also the sequencer here as well. I do a couple different things depending on how I end up, basically. It's really easy to switch between two synths very easily. I can switch the MIDI channel easily and then just pop between them very easily. So I can play something on one, record it onto the sequencer, and then just flip to the other one and do something over there, which is really nice. All the MIDI gets routed down to the RetroKits RK004, which I have in the walnut finish. This is also where I get power. It's not hooked up right now, but I have a USB in, which powers this. This lead goes out to the key step, and this one goes to the beat step. Actually, that's backwards. You'll notice the 5 right angle cables come from the Volcos, and the red one comes from the key step. And the audio out, or so rather the clock analog out, goes into the Cusack, has a tap tempo input. It's designed so that you can hook different Cusack pedals together and use a tap tempo that controls multiple pedals. But I've got it hooked up here with a subdivision that works great, so my delays are automatically synced to the beat, which is amazing. With the Cathedral, I've got this hooked up in stereo in my second aux send, and I basically use this for hall and room reverbs, but I've taken the time to program good presets, which really helps, so I can go kind of wild and then get back to a safe place pretty easily. You can activate the preset just by clicking the white button here. All the audio is routed into the Mackie VLZ here. You see I've got all 4 mono channels taken up, and then I've got the keys and beats plugged in stereo. The keys is stereo because it has a stereo chorus, and I figured why not. The beats is in stereo partly because of the cables I had and the length of the cables, but also because I had heard that you'll get a nice louder signal from the beats if you run both channels. So I figured running in stereo is fine, and it's pretty loud, so I'm into that. And then you can see I've got in the back the different aux sends coming out. In the back of this, I use the main out, which comes down into a cable here, a pair of XLR cables which I plug into my Zoom H4n to record. And I also use this little battery pack to power the Dado Duo because I just don't have enough USB otherwise. The 2 pedals are powered off of a regular, one-spot daisy chain guitar pedal and some Mutech generic adapter. And the Volcos are all powered off of a MyVolts splitter cable, the 5-way splitter. It's really noisy. This rig is incredibly noisy. My next thing would be to fix that. So probably isolated power supplies, but I don't know, we'll come up with something. But it's usable now, which is great.